感谢主持人，感
Thank
谢
you, moderator.
朋友，今天非常
Thank
高
you
兴
all online friends
和
for
大家
participating in this training
分享
session.
可再生能源
So I'm quite honored to share with you the renewable energy in developing countries and then its case studies.
刚刚主持人介绍过，
The moderator has introduced my background. I'm Cui Jian from the China Power Industry International Group. I'm responsible for the overseas projects, its planning and construction. Today, I'm going to focus on 4 parts.
全球的
First one, the global renewable status and the trends.
第二个，我是在
Second,
主要的几个区域选择了一些国别，
I have chosen
有所分享。
some of the key renewable countries markets for sharing.
选择了一些
Number 3,
目前在海外做的一些可再生
I'm
能源
going to introduce about the renewable projects in developing countries.
最后呢，我想就海外的一些就全球的一些可再生能源的开发，
Last but not least, I would like to share some recommendations and thoughts about the renewable development.
通过这个图可以看到，
As you could see from this chart,
主要是包括风能、太阳能、
renewable energy
水能
mainly includes wind power, solar, and hydropower.
风能资源和太阳能资源是非常丰富的。
And we know
可再生能源的水能来说，
the countries around the world
水能的资源
are rich in wind and solar, probably multiple times than that of the hydropower capacity.
这是一张全球风资源的分布图。
This is in the global distribution of the wind power.
风能资源呢，大多是集中在沿海和开阔大陆的区域。
And for the wind power, it is mainly reserved along the water system.
美洲区域以及
You see in
智利这个区域是风能
Argentina, Chile, and also Americas, they are rich in water resources, so they are rich in wind power reserve.
非洲的话，我们可以
And here we could see Mongolia is rich,
西非地区以及
and
埃塞俄比亚、索马里的这个
you see Ethiopia
区域
and South Africa, and some part of the South Africa
这都是风能非常
and
非
Australia,
常适合。
etc. Those places are good for the development of the wind power.
这张图呢，是我们目前全球的太阳能资源的分布图。
And this is in the distribution of the solar power, and it is quite rich.
区域国家都具有
Most of the countries and regions are rich in the solar power, especially in the whole African continent,
加上我们的美洲、
plus the Americas,
呃
Latin America,
墨西哥、
and South America, Mexico, Chile,
澳洲地区，
Australia.
太阳能资源非常丰富的地区。
They are all quite rich in the
全球
solar power.
比较多、比较富集的区域。
That is why currently we have a large number of the solar power projects in those places. And for Africa,
太阳能资源比较丰富的地区，
we know they are quite rich in the solar power projects, but still it is in the blue sea market.
新能源、光伏和风电大力发展的一个方向。
So later we're going to see the great development of the solar PV development here in Africa. See from this chart,
在近10年
we could know
的增加，我们可以看到从
the 10 years, the most recent 10 years have been
到2020
the fast booming development stage for the new energy projects. It is since 2010.
到了2020年的时候，我们可以看到
So from 2010 to 2020, we could see the great development of the wind and the solar power.
就是2021年的话，光伏的装机应该是已经第一次超过了
And by 2021,
风电的装机。
the installed capacity of the solar PV has been bigger than that of the wind power installed capacity.
情况来看，可能会发展的越来越快。目前来看，
So later we're going to see increasingly quick development of the solar PV.
光伏几乎以每年超过120吉瓦
Since
新增。
2019, the increase of the solar PV was over 120
这
gigawatts.
边是把全球近5年来，从2016年到
Here you could see
2021的一
the
个
wind power market share from 2016 to 2021.
前的统计。我把它分成了主要的三个领域，一个是
I break it
全
into
球
three
的
areas.
这一块，主要
The
是
global
中国、美国、
is the first one,
中国和欧洲吧。
and then it is dominated by China, America, and Germany.
第二张饼图呢，我们可以
The
看到
second one
已经发展
is about the developing countries
比
situation.
较大的分量的是我们的印度、巴西
They are dominated by
提出了这些
India,
最
Brazil,
后一张
Turkey, and
是
Mexico.
一些
And the third
发达
one
国家的一个现状。
is about the developed country.
做新能源起步比较早，所以它
They
的
are quite early in the development of the new energy, so the installed capacity is quite big, but still their growth rate is lower than that of the developing countries.
全球的发展中国家在新能
So
源
for the developing countries have and will witness a great increase in the number of the installation
对
of
我
the
们
new energy.
这个新能源的项目来讲呢，
And for the new energy projects,
这
it
一
is
块
dominated by the
我列了一些
facilities. Here is a list of the main manufacturers of those facilities.
在全球风机制造商的前10名的排名中，
So among the top 10,
中国和欧美的制造商
they
为
are
主。
dominated by the manufacturers from China and America.
来自中国的企业，那么其他
The
的
name
第
in red
一的为
all
公司
are Chinese
第
companies.
大以及第5的 GE 和第8的
So the number 1, number 3, number 5, and the number 8 are all from America or European countries.
产品为主。
So mainly the top 10 are dominated by America,
这张图
China,
上
and European
看到的是一
countries.
个
This is the solar power market share
近5年来全球
in
的
the range of 5 years,
新增了将近660个吉瓦，
and then
其
the
中
increased
200
capacity reached about
还有一部分主要是在
660 gigawatts and 120 gigawatts in developing
发展
countries,
中国家一共新增了160个吉瓦，主要集中在印度、越南、
mainly
巴
in
西等相关
India,
相关的国家，
Vietnam,
主要还
Brazil,
是以
Turkey.
拉丁美洲的国家为主。我们可以看到
Mainly
有巴西，
they are Latin American countries.
然后还有就是印度的地区，因为印度一直以来
And
新
also
能源发展比较迅速。
Japan is one of them. Japan is quite quick in developing the new energy.
同样和风电相比呢，光伏的项目也是主要以设备为主，尤其是我们的光伏。
And similar to
这张
the
图表可以看
wind
到，
power,
目前呢
the
全球的
solar
天然
PV
气电池
projects are
主要以中国
mainly
大陆
about
为
the
主，
facilities,
和风
and
电气
the
的
top
比
10
较不同，尤其是
are
排名靠前的这种
dominated
制
by
造商，
the
很
Chinese
多其实都
companies,
是占据的比较
and
主
a
导
little bit different from the previous list. Actually, here China
现在
has
是
a
中
more
国
leading position, like
比较
Longji,
出名的
Trina J
后排
Solar,
10名的
Jinko,
普遍的品牌
Ryzen,
中国。
Suntech,
所以说
Astral
现
Energy,
在是
they are all
中
Chinese
在
companies.
中国本土有很大的这种太阳能光伏的
So
发展
not
前景，
only does China has great
这些
development
厂商
in
将会
domestic
全球
market,
太阳能的
such
市场上
manufacturers has promoted the development of the solar PV worldwide.
这张图主要是想说一下目前在全球新能源的一个发展的趋势。
This isn't
我
about
这边
the
罗列了
global new energy
主
trends.
要的4个条件吧。
Mainly, there are
第一
four
个是说
conditions,
在我们的光伏组件目前的功率是持续的提升，
and
光伏
currently
技
the
术在
efficiency of the
2020
solar PV is
在
increasing.
做的一
Back
个
to
改进，
2015, I did our
只有
solar PV,
30瓦左右。
and
目前我
the
们可以看到，目前
efficiency is only about 230
组
watts,
件最大的功率
and
可以
now
达到660
the
瓦，就
biggest has reached about 660 or
相
670.
对来说
So from this
在
perspective,
不断的提升。
So the efficiency has been on the rise, but its size has remained the same. So currently, we has a decreasing area of land for the installation.
And also we have bigger projects. So previously our project is about 1.5 megawatts, but now for onshore, most of them are 5 megawatts or 6 megawatts. And for offshore project in Western countries like Vestas or GE or Gamesa, their offshore wind power is about 10 to 12 megawatts. So compared with 5 years ago, I would say the capacity has increased 10 times. For one wind turbine, its capacity is about 5 times higher than a few years ago. The other change is for the energy storage. It has also increased greatly. So we can see a lot of changes. Some of them are the improvement from electronic technologies, and some of them are from physical improvement. So we have seen solid progress in these areas. The other thing is about hydrogen energy. In some areas, they have very good hydrogen resources so that they can electrolyte water to produce hydrogen. This way, we can produce more green hydrogen in different parts of industries or production sites. I would say when we look into the future, I would say hydrogen has a great potential. It might contribute significantly to renewable, to wind, and to other new technologies. The third trend is right now in China, we have proposed the 2030 and 2060 goals for carbon peak and carbon neutrality. So there are a lot of new systems. To build all this new grid, we have to make sure all the grids match with each other. So now we have a lot high capacity projects, and we will make sure we have all the technologies to follow up. So after 5 or 10 years, extensive R&D efforts, and now we have better facilities for wind power and other energy projects. I would say wind power and PV are one of the most affordable technologies around the world. There is great reduction in cost. From this picture, you can see in the last 10 years, different power, the electricity price, what is the trend? Most of them have reduced. So the orange color in the middle is for the solar PV. You can see the average price reduced greatly. In 2010, the price is about 0.381 US dollar per kilowatt hour, but in 2020, it is about 0.057. Probably you also read in the news that in many different areas, they have affordable price for PV. For example, in the Middle East, so the cost is even as low as 1 or 2 US cent per kilowatt hour. So that is the cheapest option compared with other technologies. And also for wind power, we also have seen a great reduction. Now to use the solar and wind resources to generate electricity is a very important way to reduce the cost of energy. So from this picture, globally, we have a trend of renewable energy transition, and in order to encourage the green and the low carbon development, it is a global mission to develop more renewable energy. So now we have a 2050 roadmap. To achieve that plan, we need to increase the direct use of the renewable energies. So only in this way, we can realize our target of the average temperature rise. So according to the Global Renewable Energy Authority, they have also made a roadmap. The temperature rise by 2050 will be less than 2 Celsius degrees. So from this picture, you can see the PV installation by 2050 have to reach 8,000 megawatts, gigawatts. And the wind power has to reach 6,000 gigawatts. So compared with the last page, you can see there is a high percentage of reduction expected. In other words, I would say in 2050, we have to increase the PV and the wind power by about 7 or 10 folds. That is a great potential for business. So the second part of my presentation is I'm going to introduce some important countries or market for renewable energy. So I will introduce 6 countries in Southeast Asia, in Central and West Africa, Middle East and North Africa, the Eurasia, Asia Pacific, and Americas. So I'm going to talk the specifics in Ethiopia, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Vietnam, and Argentina. So let's start with Ethiopia. So just now in the picture I showed about the solar energy, you can see there is plenty of sunshine in Ethiopia. Last year, the installed capacity in Ethiopia, most of them are hydro or marine technology, but they have some small solar and wind projects. They also have a few bioenergy and geothermal projects. So from this picture, you can see the renewable energy development trend in Ethiopia. So hydro is the most important technology in Ethiopia. And now you know, globally, there are a lot hydro projects going on across the world. And a lot of installation has been completed, and some of them are in the development process. So there are some technical challenges for hydro projects. For example, how to relocate local residents and how to make sure it is environmental friendly. Those are challenges. But generally, hydro technologies are low cost and sustainable. So for the future in Ethiopia, there are some projections. In 2025 and in 2030, this will be the installation in Ethiopia. We can see most of them will still be renewable. So mainly the hydro, the PV, and the wind power. So I see there is a great potential in Ethiopia. The other thing is Ethiopia has plenty of resources for more projects. That's why I'm very optimistic about Ethiopia. The second country is Nigeria in Western Africa. So you can see the structure is very different from Ethiopia. They still have a lot of traditional coal power. So they use the gas or fuel. For hydro or some other renewable technologies, the percentage is not very high in Ethiopia. So with the global trend of energy transition, Nigeria is also making efforts because they have to optimize their electricity structure in the country. On one side, they have some good facility in wind and in solar, and they have to replace some of the traditional coal electricity or electricity produced by gas, so that they can use those oil and gas for export, and they can optimize their structure of energy supply. So similarly, I analyzed the future of Nigeria 5 or 10 years later. From this picture, you can see the traditional power generation is most important because they produce a lot of oil and gas. But from the pie chart, you can see they have ambition for renewable energy. Right now, the total installation of renewable energy is not very high. But as we analyze technologies and resources, and a few years ago, I had a conference with officers from Nigeria, and they talk about their plan to use more solar energy. For example, for the energy storage project, or for example, to build a PV industrial park. The third country is Saudi Arabia, so they export a lot of energy. In Middle East and the North African region, Saudi Arabia is an important country. So they use a lot of traditional oil and gas in the electricity production, which is 99%. So in other words, they're almost 100% traditional energy. However, the government has realized that they need to make changes. They should not rely too much on oil and gas. That's why they are also active in developing the renewables, especially the solar and the wind. Right now in Saudi Arabia, in many areas, they have started the solar and the PV project. Some of the projects are very big. For example, they have a Red Sea project. I have heard of it. So those are big projects to tap in the renewable energy we use for wind and solar energy to optimize their electricity structure so that they don't rely heavily on traditional resources. So apart from Red Sea, they also have a project to build a new city to comprehensively use new energies. All those constructions are on the way. So in the next few years, Saudi Arabia also have ambitious plans to increase the percentage of renewable. So on the pie chart, you can see it will change in the next few years because they're going to replace some of the traditional methods. The fourth country is Pakistan. So this is also an important country. And Pakistan is China's close friend. From this picture, you can see the renewable energy accounts for about a third, and from the non-renewable, it counts about 70%. And they have a lot of hydro projects. But Pakistan also have some solar and wind projects. And this is the plan for Pakistan in the next few years. This is also a big plan for renewable development. Next one is Vietnam. So Vietnam is quite unique because the country territory is not that big, but they have a lot. They are very quick in developing renewables. In the last 2 or 3 years, their PV industry grew aggressively. In about 2018, they started to develop the solar and wind project. And so the capacity is only about several hundred megawatts per year. But last year, it has reached 16 or 20 gigawatts. And right now, Vietnam is making a lot of efforts to develop the onshore and offshore wind projects. They have a lot of foreign investment, and they have a lot of joint ventures. For example, some Chinese companies are working in Vietnam for this project. That's why I would say Vietnam has a great potential and they have great momentum. The government also had a lot of policy to support renewable. And the country is undergoing a big change in the energy structure. Last month, Vietnam issued a new plan for renewable. In the next few years, Vietnam will have better support for renewables, especially solar and wind. This picture, the renewable, Vietnam also made ambitious plan, and they are going to increase another 20 gigawatts for 5 years, from 2025 to 2030. And the plan we see today is already very good, but maybe the government will have even more ambitious plan after that. And the sixth country is Argentina, is also important in Latin America. So they have great resources for solar and wind it is quite concentrated. And Argentina has a lot of renewable energy projects. So this is one of the top countries for wind and solar.
So currently, those countries mainly is about the wind power and supplemented by other clean energies. So later, they're going to have a larger scale planning. So in the future, they're going to increase about 10 gigawatts power, mainly dominated by the wind hydropower and the PV solar. And by this plan, they're going to change the energy structure and lower much the electricity price. And currently, we know many projects have been laid out in Argentina about the green hydrogen. So they are going to have the green hydrogen by the hydrolysis and then use it for the agriculture. This is the planning by the Argentina. Now I'm going to share with you some case studies in developing countries. When we're doing the new energy projects in developing countries, we have those three areas. We have mainly main investment in EPC and equipment. So currently, we mainly have those three solutions. Here, I'm going to share some cases. So you're going to better know the clean energy projects overseas. First, we have the planning. For example, for the Ethiopia, it is by our Chinese company. And first, they cooperated with authorities for the data collection, investigation of the natural resources in Ethiopia. Then later, they helped carry out the plan of the PV solar. And this is our wind farm built by a Chinese company. It is based on the collaboration between this Chinese company and the foreign power authorities. It is quite a classic case. It has applied the standard of China and mainly rely on the investment of China and apply the standard of China. And this case has been mentioned and praised in many China Africa summit. And even President Xi mentioned this case in one of the summits. And this is the financing for the promotion. The first one is in the Vietnam. The second one is in Argentina. And the second one is based on the mutual friendship between two countries and the investment from China. And currently, this project has completed and has been our stable source of the power for Argentina. Many Chinese companies have been quite innovative for the financing in other countries like the Vietnam. And for such clean energy projects, they are quite short in the working period. So we're going to use alternative investment ways. This one in Pakistan, and they invest in Montenegro. And currently we have many companies investing in those countries. So investment is a quite quick way to promote the projects. The first case is about the excellent fulfillment. This is an EPC project in the Serene Dengho Dam float PV solar energy. Some country is in seek for those kind of innovative projects, and also they hope that such construction would be quite quick. And also, some of the invest company have a good track record for investment. It's going to help facilitate the collaboration between them and the local authorities. So it's going to help build the mutual trust, especially for some challenging projects. This one is the collaboration in the industrial chain cooperation. And we know projects is mainly about the facilities. And some of the manufacturers are also the developers of those projects. And then we don't want to separate the manufacturers and the contractors for EPC. If they are the same company, it's going to better apply the resources. So it is quite good for the collaboration in the value chain and quite good for the implementation of the project. Mutual trust are going to help such collaboration. Last but not least, I'm going to share recommendations for the renewable development. And here I have 3 suggestions. First, to know that currently we are at the turning point for the agricultural reform. So we have all the countries keep up with the global power trends. We're going to transform from oil gas to the renewable energy. And also we are transforming from the hydro to PV and wind. Second, we should strengthen power trends analysis. And we should know their application scenarios under the new situations. For some places, their power grid is not that strong. If so, we're going to use some micro power grid or the power generation plus the storage. For example, some countries in Asia or Caribbean, some Chinese companies going to build up the power generation and storage. This is the solution for some places, especially those rural places. So you're going to meet the demands of the local households in a short period of time. So we have to know the new conditions and have the new direction. Number three, we should strengthen international industry and third-party market cooperation. So we're going to have a win-win situation. We have different manufacturers for projects, either from China or from European countries or America. Actually, we cannot say there is only competition between the manufacturers. Actually, we should make joint efforts. And some of them are good at the planning. Some of them are manufacturers. They own the high-tech skills. So if we collaborate with each other, we're going to build up a quite good project and bring green renewable energy to the local market, build up the new energy structure. Thank you for listening. That's all for my sharing. Thank you very much.